Chapter 11 You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. Counterattack, giving yourself away. Yang Mengshan was elated on the inside. She immediately put on a sorrowful and helpless look like Gu Yangwei. Sis, how can you be so careless? Dad was worried sick for this college entrance exam. Look at how much you've angered him. There was no doubt that she was trying to add fuel to the fire and make Gu Yangwei even angrier. He almost couldn't breathe and swayed slightly, as though he was about to faint. Gu Yoli's pupils shrunk a little. She rushed ahead to support Gu Yangwei and said in a voice as refreshing as spring water, "Dad, I managed to apply for a temporary exam admission ticket." When he heard that, Gu Yangwei held his breath and stared wide-eyed at her. There was happiness in his eyes along with surprise. "Yoli, do you mean to say that you managed to take the college entrance exam?" "What? Why, you applied for a temporary exam admission ticket." Yang Mengshan stared at her in shock. How is that possible? She had taken Gu Yoli to the canteen deliberately to waste time. Post that, it was too late to apply for the temporary exam admission ticket. It was impossible for her to have gotten it. No, Gu Yoli must be lying. She must have said so because she was afraid that Daddy would hit her. Yang Mengshan looked at Gu Yoli with anger and spoke in a disappointed voice, "Sis, this isn't nice. If you didn't take the college entrance exam, and won't make it to the university, you can still do something else, but it's horribly wrong to lie to Daddy." Gu Yoli captured every change in her sister's facial expressions. She walked towards Yang Mengshan and asked her softly. "Why are you so certain that I am lying?" For some unknown reason, Yang Mengshan's heart started to gallop, uncomfortably. Something seemed to be amiss. Did Gu Yoli really apply for the temporary exam admission ticket? Yang Mengshan smiled, but it was a weak smile. "Sis, I just thought," Gu Yoli's lips curled up into a mirthless smile, "you thought that I was chased out of the exam venue by the invigilator and wasn't allowed to take the exam." Yang Mengshan felt a chill down her spine, and because of her guilt, she subconsciously raised her voice, "Sis, how can you say that?" Gu Yoli looked straight into her eyes, calmly, but her gaze was exceptionally sharp and cold. "You should know better than anyone else why I said that, right? Sis, what's wrong with you? Forget the fact that you've suddenly become so cold towards me, you are now even maligning me." Yang Mengshan pouted pitifully as she retorted. At the same time, tears welled up in her eyes. The glistening tears made her look frail and pathetic. The three of them had already attracted quite a lot of gazes around them because of what happened just now. Now that Yang Mengshan looked so upset, she invited even more sympathetic gazes from countless men. However, to Gu Yoli, the whole episode was laughable. What a white lotus, crying even before she said anything. In this situation, no matter what she said, Gu Yangwei and everyone else would think that she was bullying Yang Mengshan for no reason. She wants to get away with this act, but I won't let her. Gu Yoli blinked innocently and asked in confusion, "Malign you? When did I do that? What kind of scene are you trying to create by crying like this?" Now that Gu Yoli said it, even if Yang Mengshan wanted to continue crying, she would have to suck the tears back in again. Her face was pale and she said in a grieving tone, "You accused me of throwing your exam admission ticket away." The corners of Gu Yoli's mouth curled up coldly and she scoffed. "I never said that I lost my exam ticket, and I didn't say that you were the one who threw it away. I just said that you know very clearly what you did, and immediately, you said that I'm maligning you. This is called giving yourself away." Chapter 12 You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. Apology Yang Mengshan turned pale with shock and her eyes widened. She explained nervously, "It's not what you're thinking. Sis, Dad. I just heard that someone from Sis's exam venue lost her exam admission ticket." After saying that, her tears started trickling down again. She cried so beautifully that it always attracted sympathy. Gu Yoli's tone was not harsh, but her gaze was filled with disdain. And you assumed that it must be me when you heard that someone from my exam venue had lost her exam admission ticket. If this isn't giving yourself away, what is it? Meng Shan, my good sister, you're really ruthless. No matter how much you dislike me, you shouldn't have thrown my exam admission ticket away and tried to ruin my life by not letting me take part in the college entrance exam. If I didn't find out in time and apply for the temporary exam admission ticket, I'm afraid I would have been the one crying badly right now. You're my sister. Search your conscience and ask yourself if I've been anything except kind to you. Why must you steal my exam admission ticket? After giving yourself away accidentally, now you're pretending to be weak and wronged. Who are you putting on an act for? Ask the people around you and ask Daddy if they would sympathize with you after knowing this. Young Meng Shan was stumped after being scolded by Gu Yoli. After hearing all this, everyone could figure out what actually happened. No one would have expected that such a pure-looking girl would be so vile to destroy someone else's exam admission ticket and ruin her life. Is this like the White Lotus and Fake Saint in novels? Hee, interesting. She even has the cheek to cry. Humph, if my sister were to do that to me, I would eat her up. Slowly, the chatter around them became softer. Since it was the first day of the college entrance exam, they were all nervous and not in the mood to gossip. Most people left after commenting around a bit. Young Meng Shan felt very embarrassed. Her fair skin was red with embarrassment. She kept shaking her head in agony to show that she was innocent. Sis, I didn't. I really didn't. Boo-hoo. Daddy, you have to believe me. Young Meng Shan continued to cry delicately and looked at Gu Yangwei, in a pitiful manner. However, in her heart, she was cursing Gu Yoli. That darn Gu Yoli, how did she change so drastically, all of a sudden? She used to be so mild and was always fooled by her. Now, she had such an imposing aura. So striking that she almost couldn't breathe. Ever since Gu Yoli had questioned Yang Mengshan, Gu Yangwei had been silent. His face was ashen and he looked at Yang Mengshan suspiciously, time and again. After a while, he clenched his fists and said, Mengshan, really? You should not make assumptions every time you hear such unjustified news. Do you know that you caused Daddy to misunderstand your sister and even hit her very hard? Apologize to Gu Yoli right now. Dad, Yang Mengshan was upset. She looked at Gu Yangwei with sadness and saw the coldness in his eyes. She did not think any further and apologized quickly. I'm sorry, sis. She was really afraid that Gu Yangwei would refuse to send her to university in a fit of anger. That way, her life would be ruined. Besides, Gu Yangwei got her to apologize because he thought that she had spread false rumors and not because she stole the exam admission ticket. Gu Yangwei did not give Yang Mengshan another look. Instead, he asked Gu Yoli gently, so how did the exam go? Gu Yoli made a peace sign at Gu Yangwei cheekily. Dad, I completed the paper in time and have full confidence. Chapter 13. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Yang Mengshan's hatred. She recalled that Gu Yangwei had once said that Yoli was the apple of his left eye while Mengshan of his right eye. He couldn't do without any one of them. Therefore, Gu Yoli did not want to make things difficult for Gu Yangwei. Even if Yang Mengshan had not admitted to it today, he would have realized the truth on his own. He just didn't want to strain the familial ties and become a laughingstock. She did not bother to pursue the matter because she had no evidence at the moment. And she knew very well that until she has any proof, Yang Mengshan would never admit her mistake. That's great, that's great. Gu Yangwei was all smiles and the burden in his heart was lifted a little. Immediately, he told Gu Yoli, Daddy was too agitated just now. Did you get hurt? Gu Yoli smiled. No, Dad, it doesn't hurt. Seeing Gu Yangwei's concern for Gu Yoli made Yang Mengshan's face turn horrifyingly gloomy. The dried tears on her face had watered the seeds of hatred in her heart. Initially, it had been just a seedling, but now, it had grown tall enough to be a tree. Her heart seemed to be seeping with poison and she just wished that she could give Gu Yoli a slap right now. But she knew that she could not. Not at this moment at least. Ever since she chanced upon the truth about her birth at 10 years of age, she had felt like an outsider in this family. Gu Yongwei doted on Gu Yoli way too much. Although he was nice to her as well, the difference was huge in her eyes. She knew that her family's financial situation wasn't great. Gu Yongwei was a mere delivery man and could not afford to send both of them to the university. If both she and Gu Yoli were to clear the exam, Gu Yongwei would definitely choose Gu Yoli over her without any hesitation. Therefore, she wanted to destroy Gu Yoli's chance to take the exam. However, she hadn't expected Gu Yoli to find out about it. Yang Mengshan was about to blow her top. Why was Gu Yongwei so indifferent towards her no matter how brilliant she was? Why would he always smile so happily whenever Gu Yoli achieved even the smallest thing? Why, of all people, did she have to have a sister like Gu Yoli? Why did Daddy only dote on her ever since they were young? She hated Gu Yoli to the core. After lunch, Gu Yongwei was not around, and Yang Mengshan used this opportunity to go up to Gu Yoli and say, "Sis, you have to believe me. I really didn't throw your exam admission ticket away." According to her understanding of Gu Yoli's personality from past experiences, she was someone with a kind heart and was easily persuaded. This time, she had failed to plot against her, so, as long as she apologized sincerely, Gu Yoli would definitely forgive her. LO, but much to her surprise, Gu Yoli scoffed apathetically and said, "Yang Gu Mengshan. Stop putting on an act. It disgusts me. I know very clearly what you're thinking right now. I just want to tell you that there are certain things that you should not go overboard with. Otherwise, you're the one who would end up getting embarrassed." She had almost called her Yang Mengshan but remembered just in the nick of time that the latter had not changed her surname yet. Yang Mengshan was flustered as she looked at Gu Yoli. She seemed ready to let her tears fall again. "Sis, we're twins. Can't you feel the love that I have for you?" Upon hearing her words, Gu Yoli could not help but roll her eyes. Even the word love managed to come out of her mouth. *CK, did she think that they were performing some girl's love here? Twins. I am pretty sure that I'm Daddy and Mommy's daughter by birth, while you're just an illegitimate child from some unknown woman. There was a clear undertone of sarcasm in her cold voice. A genre in Japanese manga, anime, novels, and video games. Chapter 14. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Making it clear and falling out, you knew. Yang Mengshan's eyes widened in shock. She stared at Gu Yoli with hatred and a strong desire to destroy her surged inside Yang Mengshan restlessly. All this while, she had thought Gu Yoli to be a stupid and weak person whom she had in the palm of her hand. She hadn't known that Gu Yoli would turn out to be so shrewd. So, she had been playing dumb all this while. Gu Yoli was shocked as well. This meant that Yang Mengshan already knew that they weren't twins. She had really concealed herself well. How cunning. So, stop trying to pretend to be the nice little sister in front of me. After saying that, Gu Yoli turned to walk away. She suddenly seemed to remember something and paused in her tracks and turned back to tell Yang Mengshan, "Oh, right, remember to return the money that you've borrowed from me, as soon as possible. As for my clothes, there's no need to return those. Just throw them straight into the bin." Money. Yang Mengshan loved to doll herself up, but the pocket money Gu Yongwei gave her was never enough. However, for some reason, Gu Yoli would always have money to spare. Needless to say, Gu Yongwei must be giving Gu Yoli extra. That used to make her furious, and she would use different ways to take Gu Yoli's money, mostly under the pretense of borrowing. But she never returned the money which she had taken, and Gu Yoli had also never asked for it, till now. This was the first time. As for clothes, Gu Yoli would often buy clothes for both of them, but Yang Mengshan would always find Gu Yoli's clothes a little prettier. So, she would move around in Gu Yoli's new clothes and pass them back to Gu Yoli after wearing them out. What did she say just now? Throw them in the bin. Yang Mengshan was so angry that she started trembling. Gu Yoli, don't push your luck. Gu Yoli smiled indifferently. You too. Yang Mengshan's temples pulsed violently, but she managed to suppress herself just in time. She said, do you think you can enter a university with your grades? A vocational polytechnic is the only thing waiting for you. Gu Yoli smiled in an unfathomable way. Really? We'll see about that. How infuriating. Yang Mengshan's gaze seemed to be laced with poison as she watched Gu Yoli's walk away. She gnashed her teeth and said, Gu Yoli, who do you think you are? Just you wait, I'll show you who's boss. Gu Yoli turned slightly and glanced at Yang Mengshan through her peripheral vision. When she saw the anger on her face, her lips curled in a satisfied smile. Angry. Great. That was what she wanted to attain, to anger Yang Mengshan so that she could not remain calm and rational during the college entrance exam. This way, she wouldn't be able to score well. The remaining 2 days of the college entrance exam passed quickly. Gu Yoli did not know how well Yang Mengshan had done, but judging from how uneasy she looked, it seemed like there were some after-effects from the anger which she had incited in her. Yang Mengshan would definitely not have done well. As for her, she performed great. She was looking forward to the day when the results would be announced. On the 22nd of June, the results were released. Gu Liangwei woke the two sisters up early in the morning to check their scores. Gu Liangwei did not know how to use a computer and sat in front of the computer for the first time. He got the two sisters to teach him how to use it. The first result which he wanted to check was, of course, Gu Yoli's. However, her result was not out yet, so Gu Liangwei exited the page quickly and checked Yang Mengshan's results. Mengshan, you have always been the topper in your class. It should be no problem to get into any of the Band 1 universities, right? Gu Liangwei asked Yang Mengshan, who was sitting on his left, as he waited for the results to come out. I think so. Yang Mengshan smiled a little. Immediately, she shifted her gaze towards Gu Yoli, who was leaning against the study desk. Chapter 15. You are listening at novelfull.audio. College entrance exam results. If Gu Yoli had not enraged her, she wouldn't have been so uneasy and restless during the mathematics exam which was held on that same afternoon. It was a subject that requires one to be very calm to think logically, and hence, she ended up doing badly on her maths paper. Since she wasn't in the right frame of mind all through these 2 days, the other papers were also affected. Therefore, other than her language paper, she had scored badly on all the other papers. When her results came out, Yang Mengshan held her breath and stared at the total score. 570 points. Yang Mengshan was in disbelief. She felt utterly crushed. Oh gosh! She actually scored so badly. She had never gotten such a low score. The corner of Gu Yoli's lips curled up, undetectably. 570 points. If she wasn't wrong, in her previous life, Yang Mengshan had scored 659 points. That was almost 80 points higher than this. Her provocation had been mighty effective. At 18 years of age, Yang Mengshan might be very vicious, but she still wasn't able to control her emotions well. Gu Liangwei was in disbelief, so he checked it again, but the same score appeared. He looked at Yang Mengshan in shock. Mengshan, what happened? You shouldn't be getting these scores according to your school grades. Yang Mengshan was a little flustered and quickly looked for an excuse. Dad, the questions this time were too difficult. Gu Liangwei frowned. He wanted to scold her, but when he saw Yang Mengshan's weak and delicate face, he held himself back. He lifted his hand and patted her on her shoulder with a smile. Don't be upset. These scores are already very high. Daddy is proud of you. As he said that, Gu Yongwei looked meaningfully at Gu Yoli. Yoli, since the questions were so difficult and even Meng Shan only managed to score 570 points, wouldn't you have scored lower? How great would it be if you could score 570 points as well? Yang Mengshan scoffed inside upon hearing that. Gu Yoli's grades had always been average. Even if she had not done her best, Gu Yoli would definitely score lower than her. Dad, don't worry. Sis did better than me this time, so she would definitely score better than me, Yang Mengshan said. Gu Yoli did not hear any envy or jealousy in her words. Instead, she heard sarcasm. Gu Yongwei comforted her gently, Yoli, no matter how many points you get, there's no need to be too upset. Even if you can't get into a Band 3 university, we can always go for a vocational polytechnic. Yang Mengshan snorted coldly inside. That was the only place she could go to. Gu Yoli bit her lip. I hope so. Her tone was uncertain, and that made Yang Mengshan feel even more delighted. The smile on her face grew brighter. Then let's check Sis's scores quickly, Daddy. Gu Yongwei entered Gu Yoli's exam admission ticket number and password and waited for the score to appear. Yang Mengshan squinted as she looked at the monitor. Just as she was thinking about how to rub her low score in her face, her mouth dropped open as the results uploaded on the monitor. 672 points. How is that possible? Impossible. She must have seen it wrongly. Yang Mengshan blinked. There was nothing wrong with her eyes. It was indeed 672 points. Dad, did you key in the wrong information? How can this be Sis's score? She shrieked. Gu Yongwei was also dumbfounded and stared blankly at the monitor for a long time without reacting. Chapter 16. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Gu Yongwei's warning. When he heard Yang Mengshan's words, Gu Yongwei quickly exited the system and logged in again. There was no mistake. It really was 672 points. Gu Yongwei could not help but beam and stood up happily. Yoli, you've scored 672 points. Yeah, I didn't expect it either. Yoli smiled shyly. She wrapped her arms around Gu Yongwei's arm and said affectionately, Daddy, isn't your daughter impressive? Very impressive. Your daddy's pride. Gu Yongwei smiled and used his finger to touch her nose tip. Yang Mengshan felt as though she was caught in a dream. Her body started twitching as she watched the father and daughter smile warmly at each other. How was this possible? How did Gu Yoli score so well? She didn't have what it took to get such marks. Could it be that she always had the capacity but was hiding it so that she could catch her by surprise today? Yang Mengshan's face had turned ashen. Her gaze on Gu Yoli was like a dagger dripping with poison. No. Gu Yoli definitely didn't have the potential, so how could she hide it? She must have cheated. There was no way that she could score so well unless she cheated. Once again, Gu Yoli registered all of Yang Mengshan's expressions and glanced at her meaningfully. Her gaze was filled with disdain. Yang Mengshan scoffed. She knew now that Gu Yoli had really changed. She wasn't clear what caused this change to occur. The only thing she knew was that she had to be merciless when dealing with Gu Yoli henceforth. She seemed to have forgotten that she had never been kind to begin with. Whether it was in the past, in the present, or in the future. When Gu Yoli wasn't around, Yang Mengshan told Gu Yongwei subtly, Daddy, Sis is so impressive. I really didn't think that she could do so well. Nav Om. Gu Yongwei was still beaming. Yeah. Our Yoli is sensational when she puts her heart to it. Yang Mengshan blinked with doubt in her voice. But Daddy, don't you find something strange? Sis's grades have always been average. How did she suddenly do so well? Could she have, she did not say the word cheated, but Gu Yongwei could infer that she was trying to say that the reason Gu Yoli scored so well was that she cheated. To be honest, Gu Yongwei had also thought of that as a possibility. Judging from Gu Yoli's past grades, she shouldn't have been able to do so well. However, to Gu Yongwei, whether Gu Yoli cheated or not, where there was no concrete proof, her results were real enough. To him, even if Gu Yoli cheated, it must have been because she did not want to upset him. Besides, to be able to get away with cheating is also a form of capability. That might be a wrong mentality, but to Gu Yongwei, who doted on his daughter, and had never received any formal education, there was nothing wrong about it. There hadn't been any opportunity for him to know about the great teachings and principles, differentiating right from wrong. Gu Yongwei's face was overcast. He threw a sharp glance at young Mengshan. Mengshan, I know what you are trying to say. I also know that your relationship with your sister has been a little strained recently, but I have to tell you that you better not say a word about this, especially when you're outside. I don't want to hear anything on this topic in the future, whether from you or anyone else. If I hear any rumors and Yoli can't make it to the university because of that, then you can stop thinking about going to university as well. Young Mengshan was shocked and her face turned pale, instantly. She had a face full of sorrow as she screamed in a shaking voice. Dad, you're too biased. Chapter 17. You are listening at novelfull.audio. A sin. The same university. Gu Yongwei's mouth opened up in surprise and his face turned red. What are you saying? Don't I dote on you as well? It was wrong of you to say that about Yoli in the first place. She had always been smart, but she just didn't put her heart into it. In her heart, exams aren't important. She always put family first, so she would restrain herself a little. However, the entrance exam is a different thing. I had told her that she must do well and put in her best effort. Young Mengshan's tears rolled down uncontrollably like a broken dam. Envied at this time, she was crying because she was really upset. You do dote on me, but that is just 1/10 of how you treat Gu Yoli. What you're saying now is a sarcastic remark to me. If you didn't like me, why did you have to raise me up then? You should have just thrown me away. Young Mengshan's teeth were tightly clenched and she nearly howled the last sentence out. Then she dashed out of there, leaving Gu Yongwei dumbfounded. Right now, she was overwhelmed with a sense of shame and anger which she had never felt before. At this moment, she didn't just hate Gu Yoli, but Gu Yongwei as well. She never expected Gu Yongwei to trample on her like that and stand up for Gu Yoli. Sensational, my foot. Gu Yoli's result must have been bad. If she did not cheat, she would never have scored so well. However, no matter how angry young Mengshan was, she didn't dare say anything to anyone since Gu Yongwei had said that if she caused Gu Yoli to lose the chance to go to the university, she wouldn't be able to attend one, as well. However, would she just let Gu Yoli off so easily like that? No, never. It's just university, right? Sure. She won't stop Gu Yoli from entering a university, but whether she would get to attend the university she wanted, was another story. Young Mengshan's lips curled up into a venomous smile. Gu Yongwei had allowed his daughters to choose any university they wanted. He took a look at the cut-off list and realized that Gu Yoli's scores were enough for her to attend Tsinghua University and even Peking University. He was extremely excited. Yoli, are you going to fill in the form for Tsinghua University or Peking University? Gu Yoli did not say anything. Young Mengshan said softly, Dad, although Sis can enter Tsinghua University and Peking University with her scores, she would only make it to the worst courses there. There was a hint of sarcasm that only Gu Yoli could detect in her tone. But Gu Yongwei didn't think much about it. What's wrong with that? It's Tsinghua University and Peking University, how great would that look on her resume? Gu Yoli glanced at young Mengshan meaningfully and then told Gu Yongwei with a smile, Daddy, you're right, but I want to become a jewelry designer. My dream is to be the Picasso of the jewelry industry. So I've decided to go to a design college. The term Picasso of the jewelry industry made Gu Yongwei become excited. He was instantly supportive of his daughter's idea and they filled in the form for the best design college in the country, Jingqing University. Yang Mengshan's nails dug into her palms and almost broke. She clenched her teeth tightly before smiling with an effort and said to Gu Yongwei, "Daddy, I want to attend the same school as Sis." Gu Yongwei was in shock. "Can you get in with your score?" Gu Yoli smiled, secretively. "There is a philosophy course at Jingqing University. Because it's not a popular course, the cut-off limit is also quite low, coincidentally at 570 points. In her previous life, Yang Mengshan had attended Jingqing University but at that time, she enrolled in the best undergraduate course, jewelry design. In this life, when the results were released, Guyoli knew that Yang Mengshan would also want to attend that school. Therefore, she was not surprised at all by her choice. Chapter 18. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Blackout. Yoli's shocked Yang Mengshan choked on her tears as she told Gu Yongwei, "I also like jewelry designing like Sis. I plan to take the worst course right now and then change it later to jewelry design." Gu Yoli leaned lazily in her chair without bothering to hear what else she had to say. However, Yang Mengshan did not say anything more. Instead, she started crying quietly with her head down. Her look of grievance swayed Gu Yongwei. He looked at Yang Mengshan with guilt and tenderness. Indeed, he did dote on Gu Yoli a little more. But that was because she was the child whom he had created with his lover. While Yang Mengshan was a mistake he had made. Her existence constantly reminded him about it. Because of this mistake, he pushed his wife to her death. He knew that the child was innocent but was still unable to treat both of them equally. That day after Yang Mengshan erupted and dashed out, he reflected on himself and wondered if he really had treated her so poorly to make her feel that way. Since she wants to attend Jingqing University, he would just let her attend it. No matter what happens in the future, it would be her own decision so she wouldn't be able to push the blame on him. During dinner, Yang Mengshan told Gu Yongwei that she was going to Jingqing to play with some of her friends and while they were at it, they would take a look around the school. Gu Yongwei agreed and even told her to come to his room later so that he could give her some money. Gu Yoli was eating quietly without saying a word. She had gone on this trip with Yang Mengshan in her previous life. On the trip, other than Yang Mengshan, there had been Gu Huijun and her brother, Gu Hongfei. These two were the children of the boss of a coal company. Their family was a newly rich family in the little county. Gu Huijun, Yang Mengshan, and she had been pretty close as classmates. Gu Hongfei was a freshman in a Band 2 university in Jingqing. He had always liked Yang Mengshan and was the one who got Gu Huijun to suggest this trip. After this trip, Yang Mengshan and Gu Hongfei would get together. However, in the second semester of her freshman year, Yang Mengshan would ditch Gu Hongfei. Other than appearing to be a white lotus, Yang Mengshan had the abilities of a green tea, a hypocritical woman who pretends to be a refreshing breath of fresh air but is actually scheming. She was extremely materialistic and would never reject any of the rich and powerful men who came her way. Of course, when she found an even richer and more powerful man, she would kick the previous one aside without any hesitation. It seemed that in this life, Yang Mengshan would not ask her to join them on the trip. Even if she did, Gu Yoli wouldn't have joined them. At around 9 p.m., Gu Yoli, who was about to go to the study room to surf the web, switched on the computer when there was a sudden blackout at home. When she went to the living room, she realized that both Gu Mengshan and Yang Mengshan had come out as well. Gu Yongwei said that he would go out and check the reason. However, Yang Mengshan told him not to. She said that it was too dark outside and since it was already quite late, they should just sleep early and check it tomorrow morning. There was nothing wrong with what she said. The main circuit was located on the rooftop. It was already very dark outside so they should just turn in and wait until tomorrow. Gu Yoli returned to her room and laid on her bed. But she kept looking at the lights outside the window. For some reason, she kept feeling that there was something amiss but could not put her finger to it. It was just a feeling. An inexplicable sense of uneasiness. At around 11 p.m., Gu Yongwei and Yang Mengshan had already drifted off to sleep. Gu Yoli stayed awake for a long time, and then suddenly, a thought flashed in her mind, making her jump out of her bed. Today was the last day to fill in their choices for their preferred universities. At 12 a.m., the computer system would lock everyone's choices. Chapter 19. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Cold and noble man. When she had keyed in her password during the day, An Mengshan was sitting right beside her. Yang Mengshan could have easily seen it. What if she remembered it and then changed her choice later on? Gu Yoli continued to think this through. But her heart was about to leap out of her chest. She crept to the back of the door to check the family's main circuit. The switch was off. Was it because of a short circuit, or was it because someone had done it on purpose? She lifted her hand and pushed it up gently. It did not trip again, and their house lit up. Therefore, it had really been a part of Yang Mengshan's ploy. Yang Mengshan was the one behind it. When she saw Gu Yoli go to the study room, she must have been afraid that she would log into the page where they filled in their choices, so she just cut the electricity. Luckily, she was cautious. Otherwise, her good grades would have gone to waste. Gu Yoli sneaked out of the house and ran to the closest internet cafe at top speed. She panted as she logged in on the page and entered her password. Voila! The column of her first choice was empty. Gu Yoli's heart shook. She clenched her fists so tightly that her nails almost pierced through her palm. She quickly filled her choice in and, just in case, changed her password as well. Just as she was about to log out of the computer, Gu Yoli paused. There's a saying called an eye for an eye. Gu Yoli's gaze turned icy cold. She did not switch the computer off. Instead, she logged into another account. When Yang Mengshan went on a trip to Jingcheng, Gu Yoli also went there. Gu Yoli kept having a recurring nightmare ever since the college entrance exam had ended. She kept dreaming of the terrible scene before her death. Every time she woke up, she would fear that she would be in the icy netherworld. She had read in a psychology book that the reason one would have such a dream was because of experiencing a big trauma. But it was not something impossible to cure. The best way was to return to the place where it happened and face it head-on. However, Gu Yoli did not expect that the hotel hadn't existed 7 years ago. Instead, it was currently a small shophouse with an apartment on the second floor and a cafe on the first floor. The cafe's business was not very good today. Other than Gu Yoli, there was just a young man sitting inside. Gu Yoli sat facing him and could not help but observe him. The man was sitting quietly as he read a newspaper, but was exuding a noble aura that was hard to miss. There was an understated elegance in his demeanor. Other than that, he seemed to be infinitely awe-inspiring and gave off an extraordinary sense of grandeur. The afternoon sun shone in through the glass window and enveloped him with a light golden glow. It looked like the representation of light and warmth in Greek mythology. He was like the god who controlled heaven and earth, a profound mystery that no one could solve. The man lifted his head to glance at Gu Yoli. He had noticed her gaze. Gu Yoli was caught off guard and fell into the depths of his eyes. His dark pupils were gleaming, drawing a person in deeply, almost unwittingly. After spacing out for a few seconds, Gu Yoli lowered her head nervously. She could not ignore the feeling she got when their gaze had met. His eyes were calm and indifferent, but she seemed to have been drowned in a cold liquid. That kind of expressionless indifference was way more chilling than someone being cold and apathetic. Chapter 20. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Coincidence, however, the man was really good-looking. The most good-looking man she had ever known in her previous life and this life was Zhao Mingcheng, until now. But, Zhao Mingcheng's looks were not even a tenth of this man. His features were prominent and every angle of his face seemed to be the work of God. The most attractive part about him was a small mole at his brow. He made one recall a quote, "Did my heart love till now? Forswear it, sight. For I never saw true beauty till this night." Instead of the plain white tee, army green pants, and black army boots, had he been wearing a white robe, he would have resembled an immortal, not someone from this world. So pure and holy that no one would dare to long for him, for it would be blasphemy. At that moment, another handsome face surfaced in Gu Yoli's mind and the images suddenly overlapped. She suddenly recalled that she had seen this man just before she died in her previous life. At that time, her vision had been blurry and she probably hadn't seen a mole, but the two of them seemed so similar. Gu Yoli's eyes widened and she almost exclaimed out loud. For some reason, she suddenly felt very unhappy. If they were really the same person, then this man had seen her at her worst, when she had been the most pathetic, the most desolate. Although it happened in her previous life, Gu Yoli was still feeling very embarrassed. Gu Yoli called the service staff for the bill and got ready to leave. However, just as she stood up and turned around, the door of the cafe was pushed open. Two women and a man walked in. The handsome man was around 20 years of age. His hair was short and he had good-looking features and a slim body. The two women looked to be around 17.18 years old. One of them was in sportswear and was wearing a high ponytail which would sway as she moved, making her look young and energetic. The other woman was wearing a pink spaghetti dress. Her long, straight hair hung loosely at her shoulders with a hairband of the same shade as her dress. Her skin was fair and her eyes were bright, looking like an angel on earth. They were chatting and laughing. Gu Yoli looked at them carefully. Wasn't that man Gu Hongfei? The woman in sportswear, Gu Huijun. And the other one in a pink spaghetti strap dress, Yang Mengshan. She would never have expected to run into them here. In her previous life, they didn't seem to have come here during their trip. Why would she run into them here, in this life? The three of them were obviously stunned as well when they saw Gu Yoli. Among them, Yang Mengshan was the most shocked. To her, they were enemies who had met on a narrow road. Gu Huijun did not know that Yang Mengshan and Gu Yoli had already fallen out at this point in time. She walked over to Gu Yoli and wrapped her arms affectionately around her arm. "Yoli, what a coincidence, what are you doing here?" Gu Yoli smiled slightly and then pushed her hand away. "I have something on." In her previous life, Gu Huijun had a role to play in her death as well. So Gu Yoli was unable to bring herself to treat her nicely. She greeted them coldly and got ready to leave. During this entire process, she did not even look at Yang Mengshan. Gu Huijun looked at how cold Gu Yoli appeared, unlike her gentle and nice behavior, previously. She felt a little angry because her warmth was met with such a cold attitude. Yang Mengshan was very good at sowing discord and took this chance to drive a wedge between them. "Sister Huijun, do you think that my sister is angry that we came out to play without asking her to come along?"